Good afternoon, Sean Childs, fantasyanalyst.substack.com, also on Fantasy on SI. Going to take a look at the NFBC main event waiver wire on August 24th. Before I get there, I want to talk a couple of things before, and I'm going to talk probably 15, 20 minutes in advance. So if you want to fast forward to the hitter players, that's what you can do. First thing is a few years back, I was in a $5,000 league, and I think it was 821. I was at 99 points. I had an absolutely disastrous pitch day, gave up about 10 runs, two pitchers got racked, dropped down to 91 and a half on 822. I was in fourth place. I was competing with Eddie Gillis, who was fighting for second and third, and the other team had Liriano. We're going way back. He had suffered an injury, so he was going to come back. And David DiNato was sitting on the top at 126 points, coasting to the finish line. Easy win. Well, he protected ERA and WHIP and saves, and unfortunately didn't make up any ground in saves. And what he didn't see was he was going to get swallowed in wins and strikeouts. So the next day, I had a good pitching day. I had 15.2 thirds innings, shutout innings, got back to 99 points. The season ended. I finished at 117. Mr. Eddie Gillis finished at 117 and a half. I lost that league by probably Eddie got one hit and a pinch hit by Lou late in the game that it wasn't even in it, and I lost by like one strikeout. And but that just shows, with 5 weeks to go in the season, you can make up a lot of points. Some of the teams aren't playing, and some are. But if your team potentially could get hot, and a couple of weeks ago, I was kind of disappointed in my main events. Like, they kind of quit on me, no offense, and lost a lot of saves and just points you thought you would have had. And I didn't make the teams better, or maybe I thought I did, and the players didn't perform. But before I'm going to go to this, I'm going to take a look at in the summer I'm not really a prop guy, but I thought FanDuel was pretty interesting. They had a few props up there, and they had a Vinny Pasquantino over under of a half stolen base. It's like, why was this guy even up there? It's just kind of crazy. Outline what I thought, and I thought it was a good bet. Basically, you'd have all season to win this bet, and fortunately, he hit this maybe in July or something. So he has one steal. That was a winner. Albie seemed undervalued a little bit, missed some time. I know he's not having a great year, but I think he stole his 12th base this week, so that was a winner. Cody Bellinger in Yankee Stadium seemed mispriced, 21 and a half home runs. And I think he's got 24 right now, maybe an outside chance of hitting 30 in a progressive year. And I lost on Christian Encarnacion Strand. Unfortunately, he got hurt at the beginning of the year, hit a few home runs, and just didn't get a chance in the majors this year. And I guess next year I'll chase him down and see what happens. So my next thing here is I'm going to talk about my friend of mine is in Andy Robinson, I know, and Eddie Gillis. They're in the Diamond Auction League. First place 109, second 99, 94, and 90, and they're 89 and a half. And they're right in the heat of the battle. Their team has the most buying power on the waiver wire. So when you're looking at this, they're in a tight. They can't really gain any ground in runs. They could lose some if their offense slumped. Home runs. Where are they? So Robinson. Yeah, so they're 218. They could lose one or two, or they could gain, if they could get a little hot streak, gain 3. So there's 3 points on the table there. As far as way down in RBIs, and sometimes the Longards were really good at this. They'd have really good pitching staffs, and late in the season, down the stretch, some of the other teams lose a little bit of interest. Football picks up or whatever reason, and they're able to pick off some of these slow teams. So as far as this team is, they within range of getting 2 points with a couple of good weeks in RBIs. And realistically, if they could have like one monster week, like even that day where you hit like 7 home runs, 20 RBIs, they could potentially get these 3 points too, and it would take a little, another little push to get to these two. But 60 RBI week, some of these other teams that maybe not play so hard might get 30. So there's some points there. Stolen bases, could get 1, maybe lose 1, but okay. So 7 or 8 points there. As far as strikeouts, kind of gapped here is not going to really, he's got to hold off this team right here. And the other two are kind of far ahead. And it just comes down to, competing. So based on his wins, he's got 72. He could gain a half a point in wins, potentially get one more, but he's got 2 on his tail. So he's really going to have to stay on the gas for the wins and hopefully make up a little bit in strikeouts. And we'll go to saves. Down here, they're in a pocket. They're done. Slipped a little bit in ERA, but if with the good pitching, they can pick up 2 points there, and they are good in whip. So there's basically 7 or 8 points, potentially even like 11 or 12 points. So their second place is within range. So when you look at the waiver wire this week, Shane Bieber's in the pool, right? You're like, this guy, what is this guy potentially going to go for? And you're going to look at, last week, this team, General Soreness, still playing. He bid $72 on Abreu. The runner-up was $69. Mud Hens, longtime player, John Stadtmuller, he's still playing. He bid $46 and $30 on McLean from the Yankees. And he's kind of an unknown. So where you got Beaver getting in the pool, this is a guy that's, got a pretty good resume. He struck out 9 guys in open game. He's a name player. He's going to go in a range where above McLean for sure. And I'm going to just bring up to see what this on my week 22 waiver wire. I just want to see what his ranges were. And all leagues are different. You could have this time of year, somebody could have, $500 left or $300 left. And so they can just shove. So we can see right here last week, the high was 207, blew everybody out of the order, 158, couple hundreds, 92. So these are the type of range of, there's 5 weeks left. If the teams are kind of out of it, you can basically get by with 4 or 5 moves a week for the rest of the year. So there's 4 more weeks. You need $20, $30. So somebody's going to shove, but how many players you want? So is that player critical to your team and your team structure? And I think that depending on what you have, but these cute little bids late in the year and trying to kind of think, nobody's going to get them. Right there, you can just look in this league, right? And you can see that 2 players that have, some money, this, Mud Hens paid $46 last week. Well, he's most likely going to needs pitching, going to bid a little bit higher this week, and I think he's got about $100. But the team that's General Soreness, he's playing. And I personally believe I want the people to play. I don't want anybody to have a free pass. I don't care if it hurts me or not, but they paid their money. But at the end of the year, everybody should be trying a little bit. You don't want to at least, keep a full roster. And if you're totally out of it and your team's like, second to last in all the offensive categories, nobody's really going to be in contention past you. I could see that it doesn't matter. But, if you're in the middle of the pack and some of the other I would prefer you to play. And I know other people like get out of the way and whatever. I'm like, you're still, and this is an individual league, but when you're competing with an overall, there's other people with money on the line, and I think that you should compete. But basically, so I can't really get to the waiver period to see exactly what people have. But the team that's in, that spent on Abreu is going to spend some money. You can go look at the standings where he is in ERA and whip. He still can gain 6 or 7 points. He's sitting in the standings here. He's at 78 points. He's 6 or 7 points. He's here, maybe offensive pitch. He still thinks he's got an outside chance at 4th. And you can look at even Stadtmuller's team. He's in 4th place, and he's got 48 pitching points. What does he need? He can make up chase wins and strikeouts here. He's all right in wins. He's going to have to stay there. But where is he in ERA and whip? Mud Hens 3.96. He can gain 1 there, and whip. This is the gap right here for that General Soreness. Like he could gain 2 or 3 points. Look how close that is just by having one better pitcher. Like that guy's going to bid on the player. And then you look at Stadtmuller. If he gets one pitcher right there, he can gain 2 points there. So there's, those are hard categories to get. And then you hope if you make up a little bit of ground, you can go further. So anyways, and he's on the doorstep of thinking he's going to cash in 4th base pays in this league. 3rd base, is obviously higher, but just a quick outline is, it's time to dance. What are you saving the money for? Shove in, get your player. Don't try to be cute with some back end players. You're going to have moves. You still can be ahead of the curve the following week. and we'll see what happens. But I have no idea what anybody's thinking. I'm just, looking at it because this is the person that I know, and I've talked to him quite a few times over the course of the year, and a couple times a week. He's just an easy person for me to connect with, and we'll see what he does. But it'd be interesting to see. I know that he'll most likely watch this. It might be after the waiver wire, or when it's late and he's already got bids. So and I'm just going to check the overall because my friend Rick Thomas was he slipped to third overall. The team first overall has kind of opened the gap. It's the same thing when I was talking about your team's got to really gel. If you can make up 20 points in a league, and then it's 50 leagues, there's still a lot of points you can make in the overall, and obviously he slumped a little bit. So he needs to gain a little ground to get to second, still within reach. I think that's $50,000. And the team at first would really need some injuries, fall back. I don't even know, but I'm not going to look that deep into it, and we'll see what happens there. So as far as my teams, before I move on to something else, these main events, just like no offense, like I said, but I've had this one team that I've got, fifth, sixth, fourth. Only get paid third points, but 91, 86, 86 and a half. We're up to 100 this year. I don't even know what happened in this team, but I gained a few points. But I know that Pascatino's on this team. He's been on fire. Happy to see that. He's a guy that I, had the last couple of years. I really thought he was a better player, but, he's really kind of came into his form recently. But if you can look at the standings, you can just see that this team's up for grabs. And this is, I think, what I had two AL and NL things. So that's about $3,000 entries, 3 onlines, 4,000, and 2 main events. So just say 7,000 and maybe a couple. Say I have $8,000 worth of entries. I'm third in the NL. I'll pick up 2,000. So I need to make up $6,000 to break even. Anytime you play in fantasy baseball, if you can break even for a year, it's considered, a survival year, and it's a good year. Yeah, everything didn't come together right. You did some things wrong, but at some point, if you have a team to drive the bus, it's a little easier to manage. But when you got to fix certain things and players perform expectations, it's a little more difficult. So as far as this team, we can see here, I'm tied. In between. I'm tied for third place. Don't know what happened, but I probably got a couple runs right here. So I can gain a half point. I can gain another point and a half. Not that far off of 2 more points. And his gap out. So there's 3.5 points there. Home runs moved up a little bit. I can gain a half. I'm kind of gapped down. I'd really need like a 20 home run week, 1 week, and kind of push my way up the envelope here. So maybe 1, but a half anyway. So there's like 4 points there. RBIs I can probably well within reach of getting 2. And sometimes these teams that you're trying to run down are further down the standings. So that's maybe 6 points. Stolen bases I can get a half, 6.5 points. So we're at 6.5. We're at 108. Strikeouts I need to make up a little bit of ground. Not sure I have Scooble on this team, and I don't know who else I have, but I really kind of went with 3 relievers out of the gate. I had, for whatever reason, but the trade things with Vest and Finnegan and whoever else I got hurt by the save category. So I can maybe make up a half. It would really take a 7-win week to kind of get back in this range. I need really two good weeks, and you're gonna have to kind of find a balance of ERA and WHIP. But there's a couple there, and this is these numbers to get 5 points in saves. If I could find the closers, that's a much better path for me to go because I don't invite as much risk. What is my downside of strikeouts? There's a couple here depending on when I go, but if I go 3 relievers, if I could find 3 relievers and kind of they get them, that would be a little more helpful. I'm first in ERA. You still, even though there's a gap to these next 2, you put in bad starters, you can lose 2 points very easily, and WHIP is pretty secure. So there is, room for putting, risky starters. But, the first place team in this league is 113.5, moved up a little bit. I'm going to just check it to see what happened this live scoring. Like I said, I have Scooble. I know he pitched today. So Wyatt Langford, 2 steals. That was probably pretty helpful. Vinny Pascatino home run. So, not really happening offense. Yuri Perez is pitching. He's got a 4-0 lead, so I got a chance at a win there. Skeens, Abbott got banged around. I got Green back. That helped. Woodruff got pushed back till tomorrow. I don't know if he pitched all right there. Rasmus has been all right. Nelson's hanging in there. So it's a decent pitching staff. I had Brad Miller, the Miller from Seattle on this team. I'm holding Lawler and Ruiz for base stealing, and I think Birdsong has a chance to pitch, and I'll get on that in the waiver when I do the waiver wire. And Sheehan's, I think, pitching Sunday. So I have some guys that I can rotate in, and lost another half point. But let's see team stats for the week before I move on here. 49 runs, 43 RBIs, 12 home runs, 1 steal. Can you imagine that? 1 steal. I need steals. That's why I got those 2 base stealers. So hopefully Lawler can be up in September. I missed a win on Sheehan. He was pitching in Colorado, but he didn't pitch that great. But for whatever reason, so I've got the Vest Finnegan team combo, which 2 wins this week in a save. So, but I need a little bit more out of my pitching staff there. So I'm gonna have to rotate in. Even Bradley got racked today, and he could get sent down, but they might give him another chance. Mika Bell got called up, and he got racked too yesterday. So, but we'll see. But anyway, so that's the team there. But you keep playing, and you never know what's happening. And I'm not, I could look at some of these other teams and stuff like that, and it's just, it's just is what it is. It's a grind, and we wish we knew the outcomes of these players in advance, but sometimes they have the best success late in the year, and you just never know what's going to happen. So let me go over to the waiver wire by positions and try to walk through that a little bit here. Let's go team stats for players, player stats. And here we are we'll switch it to last week to see what's going on at the catcher position and at bats. So pretty much Patrick Bailey's the 44% owned highest catcher available. I got Francisco Alvarez, who got knocked out last Sunday after the game. So I took a 0 at the second catcher position. Just starting to heat up, playing well, and then he gets hurt. Sliding second time he got hurt last year, sliding to a bag, doing something dumb, running through first base last season. This year he's sliding into a bag. But so Bailey, not really, moving the needle there. This is the player that's going to be Seymour Basallo. He is the player that is going to be really, really good minor league numbers, hit a lot of home runs. The Orioles rewarded him an 8-year contract for like $78 million. They gave him a big contract. He is going to play for the rest of the year. He has a ton of power. He is the catcher that is going to move the needle. But is he a $50 player, $100 player? No. I mean, the catchers in general go less, but he is a name player, so there is going to be some competition. But he's the best available catcher. I don't think there's any chance that I got him. Most of the teams I have probably like $30, $40 left. Maybe I have a 50, a main event. Victor Caratini, it was kind of cold recently. He's been dropping some leagues. He had a 3-run home run yesterday, so he's back where he could potentially play. But I think he was getting more playing time for Houston because Yordan Alvarez has been out forever. And that guy is so frustrating. But I think Alvarez, let me just check that. I saw third, like he might be really close to getting back. Yordan Alvarez. So if he gets back, so Alvarez is going to be back on Tuesday. That means, Diaz is going to play, and Alvarez is most likely not going to play in the outfield. So Caratini is not a guy that's going to be probably cost you $1 if you want to ride him for a week. Kyle Hishiwagawa got cut, got some power, still getting some at bats. 42% free agent. He's out there. The Mets replacement catcher. He got 4 RBIs this week. He's not really. I looked him up earlier in the season when Alvarez went down to see if he was any good. I think he was a journeyman catcher. The other second catcher is day to day, so by default he's going to have to get some at bats. But 221 this year at AAA, 17 RBIs, 5 homers, over 154 bats. I guess that would be like a 15-51 guy with batting average risk. Not strikeouts aren't really that bad, but really not a lot of power. But $1 is what it should cost for a player like that. And Peter Pages was playing better for the last couple of weeks. He had a home run in 3 straight weeks. He had 3 RBIs in 3 straight weeks. The runs were a little short, but two a week for a catcher is okay for a catcher too, especially in a deep format. Especially one of those weeks he only had 7 at bats. This week he's 2 runs, 2 RBIs. If he hits a home run, that's all right. So he is a viable catcher to pick up. It's not going to cost a lot of money. A couple dollars, maybe $3 to $4, depending on the league format. But if he's 53% owned, he is a player that I will be looking for to replace for sure. And this guy is just Logan Hoppy. He's not a free agent, but man, he's hit 1 home run in like 2 months, and he's just a big name player getting decent at bats. But like, where did he go? He had 3 home runs this week and just killing you week after week, and he's got name value. He's the type of guy that you're just sick of, and you put him out there, strikes out too much, and he'll end up 121 strikeouts and 358 at bats, so 1 in 3 roughly. That is way too high, and he didn't progress, didn't steal bases, and realistically, he's a cut. But this time of year where you're going to find, at least he could hit a home run once in a while. You never know when he could get hot again, but just not really that special a player. Moreno came back off the DL, so he will be popular. I really was surprised. Actually, I thought he was going to be done for the year, but he came back this week, 4 for 8, 1 home run, 4 RBIs. He had a home run there. So his power is showing a little bit. So he was a player that I would probably more like, I would rate him a little bit higher. He's going to help you a little bit in batting average. So I would think maybe like, depending on where you got, like $10. And I wouldn't dismiss the Del Castillo guy, at least being a guy that you could play for a week, and he'll be more of a drop this week. But in general, he's a guy that's can hit a home run, hit for average, and they really don't have he's not going to be the main catcher now, but he'll rotate and get some playing time some way. Let me just see his eligibility and see if they're playing him in any other position. Nope, he's only 16 at DH, so he's he's playing DH since he got called up, so he is viable. Even though it kind of looks like he's a drop, but people that hold him, I would still hang on. McCann's on the team. Who's it? Pavin Smith. Nothing. Put him at first base, but Pavin Smith is. So we'll see what happens there. But if he was in the league, I would definitely put him in the thread line at catcher. But I think that's about it. And then Sean Murphy got dropped. I wonder if he's a guy that could get released by the Braves. I think he was a free agent next year, where somebody could put him through waivers and they can add him to the playoffs and their roster and stuff like that. Casey Schmidt, he's a third base, first base, second base. Most valuable in the fantasy to me is at second base. Just the structure of the you need more power at the corner positions. But anyways, he's 5 for 22 over the last week, 2 home runs, 5 RBIs, been kicked around a little bit. He is, he's kind of a flash player, but he is, capable of. He had that big week there. He had 2 home runs at home. He's basically got a home run 3 weeks in a row. He's got 5 home runs over the last 5 weeks, so he should be playable. But if he's out there, I would think he would be somebody in the 8 to 10 range when these teams that have short money, maybe even less. And you just have to look at the you have to look at last week's pickups and try to see a player in that range and what they're going for in your league. And if you're in a league with bunch of teams with under $50 or something like that, and the teams that are playing have money, there won't be much there. I think Duran is for Texas is an interesting player. He doesn't really look like much, but you can see he was 8 for 13 2 weeks ago, 6 for 18 this week. There was an injury. Evan Carter's out for the season, and that doesn't really reward him for playing time, but he's going to get some things. But a few years ago, he had 14 home runs and 8 steals over 400 bats, and that might be helpful. And he even hit 276 that year. So as far as Texas, they have they called up Cody Freeman, and so first base, Josh Smith to lead, so he could get playing that time there. And Freeman is technically, I just want to see where he losing work. Yeah, so he's he got called up. He had a home run yesterday. He had two RBIs, and 2 for 4, 2 RBIs, and 2 runs and a home run. But he was pretty good in the minors. So you can see this year he was hitting 336, 19 home runs, 8 steals, only 37 strikeouts, 32 walks. Pretty good growth in his approach. The year before, he had 94 strikeouts and 37 walks. So he's been a much better player. He's in the majors this year. He's got some starts over here. 3 out of the last 4, 5, 6, 5 of the last 7 games he's been in the lineup. So he's where he hit a home run. He has a kind of a decent resume there that you can just try to ride the hot hand. I'm looking for eligibility here. So in the majors, he's played third base and outfield, and all of them in right field. And he played the minors at second base. So when you look at the structure, they lost Simeon as well. So that opens up an opportunity, most likely Freeman and Duran. Smith, Josh Jung is still going to play a lot at third base. Jock Peterson's going to clog up the DH position, and they have, I would imagine Josh Smith is the one that gets the outfield time. So Freeman and Duran look like they get a bump in at bats here, and we'll see what happens there. But Freeman's, I'll get to him when I look at another position. But he's going to be a guy that's going to be, under the radar. Doesn't look like he much, but he has potential. I wouldn't say he's going to be somebody you want to spend a lot of money on, but he has a little bit of potential there. Let's see, Torillo for Pittsburgh, 14% owned, short, first, second, third. Same thing. This guy's better off at being short and second base. He hit for a good average 3 weeks in a row. He's 18 for his last 56. That's pretty good. Seven runs, 4 RBIs, 1 home run. The 3 steals is what is the bonus there. If he didn't have the steals, he would kind of really be a liability. But if he's chipping him in steals, that would be okay. And then we can see last year he had 9 home runs and 8 steals, struck out a little bit, but a little too much. So I think his approach has improved a little bit. Batting average is bad both years. But let's see if he what he did in the minors, just to see what if he's going to be a factor. Let's see, shortstop. And where we are, he was this year he was hitting at AAA. Must have missed some time. He's been up the majors for 200 and something at bats, but he didn't really do much. 239 last year. He was the last 2 years he was in the majors. Had 12 home runs. He did have earlier in his career and at high A, he did have 15 home runs and 25 steals, hit 300 over 421 at bats. So he looked like he was a lot better player back then. Maybe there's a hint. Journeyman guy at 27 years old. It's only going to cost her $1 or $2. I don't expect him to be, more of a gap player at, like I said, middle infield, but he also qualifies at first. Seymour from Tampa Bay got called up. He's going to be a big swing in this guy. He had a home run and 3 RBIs, but he had 7 strikeouts in his first 15 at bats. I don't expect him to be in the lineup every day for Tampa Bay. They did have, some injuries that helped him a little bit. Let's see. Diaz was a little bit nicked up, and then Aranda's been out. But I'll just show you the power. So he's sitting against lefties, so a platoon player, but he had 30 home runs this year at AAA, 87 RBIs, hit 263, 114 strikeouts, not, about 25%, maybe a little over it, maybe 25 and a half. Had 19 home runs the year before. Strikeouts were a little bit higher. So he did improve in the second year at AAA, 76 strikeouts. That was, 1 and 3. So still have a lot of work to do. When you're playing in the majors and you're facing better pitching and you swing and miss guy, you're probably going to get exposed. So I would think that short money, but he potentially have power. But he is a platoon guy, making him only available, a guy that's viable in deeper formats. And Flores, Troy Johnston is a guy, I looked him up, kind of a guy that had a little more speed. And he qualified at first base, which is kind of a unique skill set. If you can get a guy, if you're chasing speed or a corner position, and he's potentially, if you could get the at-bats, he would be kind of a sneaky. Another guy that's sitting against lefties, but he had 30 steals this year in the minors, hit 250 with 12 homers, 68 strikeouts, 26 walks. Approach was okay. The year before, 11 home runs, 17 stolen bases at AAA as well. So, like I said, if he is going to get playing time and if he does run a little bit, that would be helpful and be like sneaky speed. And he is a guy that most likely is going to cost next to nothing too. But he's a player that you have to keep. I don't know, his eligibility is just first base. So, but like I said, you could be way ahead in power. and you want to give him a flyer. Can hit a home run and maybe be helpful. And then Flores kind of been a dog for a while. He was really good at the beginning of the year, and then he just kind of faded off the sunset. Could see the at bats weren't there, and then he did a home run this week, which could be a spark of that. Maybe he's going to cycle in and maybe give you a little burst again. And I'm just going to look at. I know that Chapman came off the DL, and I'm trying to see who, if anything, changed. Doing fantasy football and trying to stay up with this stuff. Multitasking. You got to look at box scores every day. You got to read the news every day, and then you're writing about it. And I didn't write as much, in the past because I didn't do the minor leaguers, and so I'm just going to lose my track. Flores, San Francisco. What am I looking for? So let's see what's different on this team. Schmidt there, Chapman there, Adames, first base. So Flores, I guess he's just, his ticket is, outplaying Dominic Smith at first base. And Dominic Smith, let's see, over the last week, and a couple hits here and there, sitting, kind of rotational guy. So I think Flores, if he gets hot, starts doing stuff again, he could definitely get at bats. He is going to cost next to nothing because he's in the fade category, but he is capable of getting streaky, as you saw earlier in the year. And Dominic Smith, I look to Lees, and so Romy Gonzalez is out. Pavin Smith came back. I don't really care. Pissed me off earlier in the year, so we don't even going to waste any time there. And Locklear, Toro. So that's about it that I'm seeing in the immediate jumping up in front of me, anyways. Casey Schmidt. Ryan Ritter, 6 for 21 over the last week, 6 strikeouts. He really hasn't popped. He's still 88% owned. I talked about him last week that he had potential for the season. He really, over his last 32 at bats, he got 10 hits, 4 runs, 4 RBIs. Doesn't have the home runs. He does have a decent profile, and I think I got this lined up to probably. I just want to see if Colorado's at home this week. They're at Houston. They're at the home at the back end of the week against the Cubs. Then they play San Francisco. So I mean, if you're looking for a guy that potentially you're going to catch maybe 9 days at home, he could be a flyer. I would think that he's a better player, and he might do something. He looked like he's trending a little bit higher, but he's going to cost $1. But he is a guy that had that long hitting streak at AAA, and I think he could surprise. Sakizi is the other one for St. Louis. He's been playing a lot better, getting more at bats. Donovan went on the DL, so he's 5 for 16, 7 for 23, 5 for 18, 8 runs over the last 3 weeks. Only 4 RBIs, no home runs, but he did have 2 steals. Hasn't had a home run in the majors in a long time. Did show 20 home runs in the minors. Did hit for average, didn't have as much speed, so he's run a little bit. But I think that he's a better player than he's shown. Probably hitting down the lineup, but he's getting more at bats, and I think that you just take what you can get out of him and you put him in him. But I think he could be a helpful player down the stretch, depending on your team need. And I want to Alex Freeland hit a home run, get more playing time with the Dodgers. They had a few guys they put on the DL, and but 7 for 16 this week. He's got 2 home runs, 4 RBIs. He did, showed a little bit of his batting average risk 2 weeks ago when he had 9 strikeouts and 15 at bats. So he's not a lock to have success. He's kind of a name guy as far as like prospect wise. Let me look at the Dodgers. I'm just gonna, but his batting average risk when the minors was switch hitter. Got drafted 3rd round, so he's not really that high of draft pick. But he had 17 steals, 12 home runs this year. But he takes a lot of walks, 75 walks over 453 plate appearances, and hit 253. So, probably kind of a fly ball hitter. I don't know for sure, but it just based on his average being a little bit lower. Strikeouts aren't that bad, but he just not enough balls in play. But playing for the Dodgers, sometimes they surprise, and he is trending at a 4-game hitting streak, and one of those is a pinch hit home run. He did play against Colorado in some of those games, but like I said, the Dodgers have had some injuries, and I will just confirm that. So Edmonds out, Kim's out, Rojas is playing, Freeland's playing because Muncy's out as well. So he is going to get at bats. They got Buddy Kennedy, who's a former decent guy for Arizona. He's on the roster, which is I think he was in Philadelphia earlier in the year. Yeah, he's with Philadelphia and Toronto this year, but he actually is a guy that, he pretty good approach in the minors, 31 walks, 41 strikeouts over a half season at bats, 8 home runs. But yeah, he was a guy that was thought be a little bit better, but still not a big name. But anyways, the bottom line is Freeland's going to get some at bats. He does have talent, does take walks, hitting the bottom of the lineup, hit a few home runs, and he can steal a few bases. So kind of a balanced guy, but not really a difference maker. Raccio hit a home run. I talked about him last week. He was playing a little bit better. It's just a back end of the order player. And just thinking, is there any? They picked a lot. I saw a lot of people pick up Rojas last week, but he just really doesn't do enough for me to, other than at bats. He did get the at bat 7-14, 4 RBIs, but just having that home run in 5 periods, did no RBIs for 4 periods. Only a few steals, just doesn't move the needle. I want to just see about Zach Neto for the Athletics and just see what he did. I know he was trending to potentially get called up, and I just see if he can. Where is he? Neto. I'm gonna have to type him in. Sorry about that. Neto. Not Neto. I'm a Geloff. So I don't know why I keep. Last week I did the same thing. I got short-term memory loss or long-term. Let's see here. So he's got a 3-game hitting streak, but let's see, just over the last 10 days or so. He's got 7 home runs in the minors the last 10 days. 11 for 35, 12 runs, 7 home runs, 13 RBIs, 4 steals. I mean, this guy should be back in the majors, and he is a guy that has struck out a ton here. But he's a balanced player, and he does have power, and I think that he should be called up. And I think that he's pretty much. Let's just see where he is. Let's see what the free agent level here. He's 93% free agent. So some of these guys with this waiver period's the 24th. So this in September, the rules will change a little bit. The roster expansion is the same, and I don't even know exactly how many players can get called up. But I think he should be on the roster. So Ritter, flyer for 9 games at Colorado in the next 12, and I think that he is a guy that's. Neto, he could have for a buck, stash, see what happens. I know, though I'm managing, a team with McLean who's done nothing. So Neto, can't be worse than him, and then you maybe put him on your bench and see what happens. Sometimes I mind too far in advance, and that's not really ideal. I'm just going to check in with Jordan Lawler. God, I got him on some teams. You think I guess the Cagliano guy is the same thing. If that guy could just do something for a month, he would help fantasy teams. And same with Lawler. He should get a pretty good run in the majors in September. Will he do something? We don't know. We'll see. So over the last, he's had a couple days off since the 14th. So he's been in the majors for 10 days, 8 for 31, 3 runs, 1 homer, 3 RBIs, 2 steals, 24th. So I don't know what he did today, but he's not killing it. But he does have that impact value, and I did talk about him last week. And he is. I'll see if what his ownership is, just to see. I'm carrying him because I know I need to make up steals, and he's the type of player that should get at bats. Let's see, he's 17% owned, so a lot of people are owning rostering him, and we'll see what happens. So Ritter I talked about. The Athletics. Hermes guy is just so if I'm going with Neto, I think that he would be potentially squeezed out. But he did all right a couple of weeks ago. He had a home run, 4 RBIs, but not that great a player. Kind of fill in. I could see him getting, flipped out soon. With Wilson coming back off the DL. Not that he's going to get hot again because he got hurt and he just lost all his momentum. Let's see for at bats. Freeland, Raccio, same cast of characters down at the bottom, and I'm just trying to see if Chase Meredith came off the DL. He can hit for averages. He just really doesn't have enough. He steals a few bases, can hit a home run once in a while, doesn't do it enough. Brooks Baldwin is a guy I like, plays multiple positions. He's not giving enough at bats, but he did have a home run, 3 RBIs for the week. I not saw 3 RBIs, 3 runs, I believe. I wish this thing just carried down the bottom there, but he could be a fill-in guy. Wynn got a little banged up for for Mason Wynn for St. Louis. If he did go on the DL, they do have that young prospect, Weather Holt or something, that could get called up, and that would be a pretty attractive guy to add to a roster. He's hitting over 300 between AA and AAA, but he's not in the free agent pool, so let's just not talk about him in home leagues and stuff like that. You might be able, you should be able to pick him up. So Joey Ortiz got hurt. Yes, he won the DL. I think this time of year, that guy's on the DL for 10 games. I mean, we're talking, the rest of this week, next week. I mean, I could potentially, I know he was getting hot, but he wasn't doing enough. I think he's a cut. We'll see what happens there. DeJong didn't do anything, but he's more of a guy that's, I guess shortstop, he would have more value than third base. And McLean, like I said earlier, is not doing anything. Tyler Fitzgerald got sent back down. David Hamilton filled in a little bit. Doesn't get enough at bats, but he can steal bases. And Jose Caballero from had a really nice week considering he only had 7 at bats, 2 home runs, can steal bases. Great base stealer and waiting type of guy. Let's see where we at. 41 minutes. We're moving okay here, considering I talked in the front of this a little bit. We'll move over to third base. So Durbin would get a few more at bats. Not that he's not getting at bats, but he's 95% owned. Casey Schmidt. Yeah, so third base is similar. I guess Nacho Alvarez getting a little more playing time. I think Riley's going to be out longer, 7 for his last 18. Hasn't really shown any speed or power. So I have him in the NL League. But over the last 2 weeks, 13 for 39. That's pretty good. He's in 333. 8 runs is fine. 6 RBIs is fine. So where's the home runs? Where's the steals? So, I mean, when you're looking at that guy, he's playing better. Some of the stuff would come. He has a little bit of talent, not a big, power or speed resume, but I'll just double back and check him out because you look at these names and you got to have that instant recall when you're looking at something on the waiver wire. Even if we were drafting, you'd have to really kind of know, how good a player is this. So, this year had some injuries. Last year he had 10 home runs, 10 steals, over 246 at bats at AAA. But like I said, he would miss some time, had some injuries, hasn't really hit his form, but there is speed and power there on his resume, and he is getting more playing time. He's going to get a pretty good run here, I think, for the Braves. With Riley, I'm pretty sure they said Riley was out for the year, didn't they say? Yeah, season-ending surgery. So I think that's for $1. I mean, that's not a bad flyer, and that he might surprise. But he, bottom of the order hitter, but he is progressing, can help him a little batting average. I do think he has potential. Third base. Brian Hayes is another team. Somebody has. I know they have a lot of players. They're playing the Dodgers next week, but Hayes is. I think he has 6 or 7 game hitting streak. He's got 1, 2, 3. He has 7 game hitting streak. He's got runs in a bunch of them. Only 1 home run. And he's got 1 steal, but he is playing better, and he does have some power. And he has 11 steals for a third baseman. So I think there's some, he can hit more home runs. So I know he hits a lot of ground balls or something in the past. I don't know where he is, but he's a better player than this. He just hasn't done it in a while. He is, when he was coming through as a prospect to Pittsburgh, you thought there was a little bit more. But if I was going to play one of the Reds players, I would play him this week because I think he is trending higher. And he is a free agent, 28% of leagues. You put him at, DH or whatever in the corner. Hopefully you can get a home run out of him, maybe 1 good game a week, and maybe you could steal a base. But not a difference maker, but I think a gap player that fills in a little bit. Brady House, 58% owned for it. Yeah, they just don't think he's been doing enough overall. Weekly, 3 for 19, 3 for 17, 3 for 14. Just hasn't hit a home run, RBIs. But another young guy that needs to improve. So let's see. Yeah, not really much else there. And I did talk about the Freeman guy for already from Texas, and I wanted to talk about that. So as outfielders, Jeremiah Jackson is a guy that really something changed for him, and he was really, really good in the minors this year. Really did kind Didn't do anything the first 2 weeks, but over the last 2 weeks, 14 for 35, 7 runs, 1 home run, 8 RBIs. He went on a massive run in the minors this year for Baltimore. Thought he was going to be like a middle infield type player, but they need him in the outfield. But he showed it this week, and he looks like he's a guy that they hit him in second in the lineup. So that's a lot of confidence in him. So anyways, he only 162 at bats at AAA this year. Hit 377, 11 home runs, 9 steals, 22 RBIs, 29 runs. Was playing at a lower level at AA, but he seemed to find it. But he did improve his approach. He's got 51 walks this year over 360 plate appearances compared to last year. 51 strikeouts, sorry, over 360, and then last year was 122 over 482. It's not a bad ratio, but it's definitely improved. Making better contact. Got some home runs over here in 19. Even the year before he had 15 over 311. So there's a better player. Orioles are hitting him. So if you're playing the lineups, where they're hitting the lineups, he is a player that has more talent. I think I have him in my AL auction league, and I'm out of the league anyways. But he's the guy that I should be starting now that he's moving up in the batting order. But he's a guy that's he definitely has talent. How long it will last, I'm not sure. But he is looks like he's a 98% free agent. But he's definitely a player of interest when you're looking at outfield, considering it's so thin at this time of the year. So I got Gavin Sheets has been kind of a streaky guy this year. What has he got? 17 home runs, 58 RBIs, over 383 at bats, hit 253 weekly. So before last week, he only had 1 home run over 5 weeks, and he wasn't getting at bats. So he got a bump in at bats this week. So why did he get a bump in at bats over there? And this is where, when you're reading the box scores, and if I was really following it as close as I should, I would have a better mental picture. So it looks like Sheets is playing in the outfield, and that's with Merrill out. They're shifting somebody else, maybe Laureano to center field. So when is Merrill's coming back? So that would be, he went on the DL last week, so left ankle. So that's why Sheets has got a bump in at bat. So I guess that is an improved opportunity. How long that lasts and how long he's out for the ankle injury is not sure, but he does have power. He is kind of a streaky guy. 2 home runs this week, and a lot of times when they have a 2 home run a week and you go get them, they're like 1 for 10 or 1 for 12 or 2 for 12, and they really don't do much the following week. Willie Castro, nothing really. Base Teeler hit a home run this week. Hasn't been that great this year. I'm trying to think. Alec Thomas been a little bit better lately. Not this week. Tommy Pham hit a home run off of somebody that was a pretty good pitcher this week. But he does help a little bit in batting average. He's 30% owned, and he's just kind of one of those guys you put him in, you're like, and then you're like because back here he had a home run, 3 RBIs. So he's got a home run in 3 out of the last 4 weeks, 10 RBIs, so averaging 2.5. Runs are a little bit better. Does have 2 steals, so he's a back end of the outfield and does usually hit for average. For the year, he's hitting 267, 7 home runs. Not great, 5 steals. You like to do, be a little more helpful in either one of the 2 categories. But as a guy that you're looking to replace an injury, that would be okay. Cassie Owen hit his first home run this week, 4 RBIs, but he's kind of got called up. Has talent, but I don't think he has a clear path. I think Tucker was sitting for a couple of days, and Tucker responded with I think 3 home runs in 2 days over the weekend. Evan Carter's out. Church got called up for St. Louis. St. Louis had an outfield injury, and I'm not familiar with the Church. I think he's a older player. Maybe he was with Texas before, and that's really kind of a stretch if I'm getting that right. So Victor Scott went on a DL, and I thought, Burleson was a little nicked up this week, but I guess he's not that bad. So let's see. Church. Yeah, so in the minors this year, he was hitting 338 at AAA this year with 7 home runs, 10 steals. He even played well. He had 336 at AA this year. So between the 2, he's got He's got what has he got? It's 13 home runs, 16 steals. Approach is really good, and over 370 something at bat. So I think that's I just want to see if he was a pure center fielder. He's played mostly center field in the minors for the outfield, but so when you're looking at the replacement for Victor Scott, like just if you had him on your team, he looked like he would be a natural replacement. Has a little bit more speed than power earlier in his resume. I think that's a pretty good shot at a dollar outfielder. He's a lefty. Should see a lot of righties. But he might be a platoon player out of the gate until he proves himself. But definitely a player that's worth. Outfield is kind of hard in the high stakes market and in the main event to find players. But don't dismiss him as being somebody that might be able to catch something and do something for a couple of games. Let's see here. Matos got. I'll wait to get down to them. Alex Call had a really good week. He was 6 for 13 with a home run, 3 RBIs. This is the one this is where really I'm going to I've talked about it last week, and I'm going to say it again because it's the Dodgers. Conforto has been bad, and I know Call did all right this week and showed a little bit of spark and maybe got a little more playing time, but he doesn't really have that great a resume, and he can have a game once in a while, but over the last couple of years, look at the 343 last year, he had 99 at bats, 3 home runs, 14 RBIs, 5 steals. Even the year before, 375 at bats, 8 home runs, 38 RBIs, 9 steals. But it's Ruiz is the one. I don't know why the Dodgers don't call him up. And I'm like, maybe I got something wrong with me. But if this guy's just doing, he's just creating stuff in the minors, right? And you got a guy that's hitting under 200. I know you paid him a decent money, but he's just not doing anything. Just can you make your lineup better by calling up Ruiz? So all right, so he didn't get a hit last night, but he was pretty hot going into since he got sent down in August 8th. He played 14 games, hit 352. He's got 20 runs, over 50 at bats. That's great. 4 home runs, 12 RBIs. He stole 13 bases. Like, you can't get this guy give him a chance in the majors. 26 years old, no respect. Like I said, he's just overall in the minors this year at AAA, 303, 12 home runs, 51 steals, 370 at bats. He's the guy that steals 70 bases, could hit 18 home runs. He's just like Kyle Crawford numbers, but yet he continues to be banished to the minors. 52 walks, 62 strikeouts. It's the Dodgers stole him and from whoever had him the year before with the A's or whatever. They didn't want to play him either. He did get his chance earlier for Oakland, but he didn't have as much power. But he's a better player, and I'm going to beat his drum, and I'm going to own him next year because he's playing somewhere, and he is going to win me the overall championship. All right, maybe I'm dreaming, but Outman got called up for Minnesota. Hasn't really done much. 7 strikeouts over 13 at bats. Raves, really nobody there. Teodosio is the guy that hasn't run, and he really kind of did okay the first week and kind of slumped, didn't do much. Tyrone Taylor, nothing much. All right, so they called up Luis Matos. I've been chasing this puppy around too many times. So he got a home run and 2 steals this week. This is the guy that he wasn't really doing much in them because I had him on a roster, got sent to the minors, and so they got looks like it's got a clear path to play, playing in right field. I don't know if they changed somebody, but let's see. Yeah, so he was actually, coming into when he first called up, he had a 5-game hitting streak, 8 for 22, 7 runs, 2 home runs, 5 RBIs, 1 steal. He gets called up for over the last 3 games. He's 6 for his last 11, 3 runs, 1 homer, 1 RBI, and 2 steals. I just like this player, and I think he should get an opportunity. He's young enough, 23 years old, doesn't strike out a lot. He's the type of player that I think that's undervalued. Even if he did something this week, he's only going to be a couple of dollars, but he's gonna get a chance. I don't know who. I'm trying to think who they had. They must have released somebody because any of these players aren't. What's the other outfielder? Oh, when they traded they traded Yastrzemski to Kansas City. It opened up a spot. They didn't call him up right away. So I think that's a guy that's going to play a lot. And I'll most likely, I wish I could pick him up this week. I know I lost Carter for Texas, who's been, keeps getting hurt. Got hit twice by a pitch this week, and he's gone. Melton didn't do anything this week. I don't know if he's going to get enough playing time, but he stole a base. I think he does have talent, and but Houston, let's see, outfield. They still missing that center fielder. I don't know how far back Myers is, how close he is. I know McCormick's back. He isn't really doing anything, so he's still. It doesn't look like he's doing anything. I don't see any minor league. I don't see his minor league stats there. But let me see his show minors just to see. No, so Myers hasn't even played a minor league game, so he's not going to be helpful. So Melton is a guy that should get more playing time, but he's going to sit against lefties, and so he didn't really probably face a few lefties this year. But last year, I'm just going to go to last year because it shows a little bit more of his profile. So he had 15 home runs. 30 steals, he hit 399 at bats, hit 253. So he does, he's got that power speed combination. Doesn't have a lot of experience, about a half season at AAA. This year he really hit for higher average, but didn't show as much power or speed. Hasn't really done much in the majors, 155, but he does have talent, but he still needs more things. So I know I added him to one league last week, but he is a guy that's going to get shucked back into the free agent pool. Very easily could be missing a back end outfielder that's getting more playing time. Like I said, it's just when these guys get a couple of bats at the back end of the. So I'm just looking at Drew Gilbert just to see for San Francisco. I don't know that name, and like I said, if you don't go that extra mile and just click on a player profile to see if he's going to get in the way of somebody. So this guy's a little bit older. No, he's not 24 years old. 12 home runs, 47 RBIs, hit 242. Walks are okay. He's not. I think the Matos is a better player. I don't think he's going to get in the way. And let's see, Tampa Bay, Eaton, Red Sox. So the top, and the Red Sox, they're probably not going to play him or give him a chance. But he's a player that's Joe Noxton Garcia. Joe Noxton Garcia. He had a really, really good, really, really high level of success. The Red Sox they should give him, having the lineup. They haven't given him a chance right now as they move Duran over there. So Garcia playing the Yankees over 3 with 3 strikeouts in his first game. But this year at AAA, 303, 17 home runs, 57 RBIs, 81 strikeouts over 295 at bats. So higher than 25% for sure. But he played at AA earlier, didn't have as much success. But he's a pretty talented player, and he really kind of had success. Recently, I can go back. He hit 300 for a lot of this stretch since he got to AAA. So I think that, he's got a chance to prove himself in the majors. Looks like he might struggle a little bit out of the gate. His approach was much better for, earlier in his career, a few less strikeouts, but we'll see what happens there. But I think I can't really shove on that type of guy because he's I'm not sure he's going to be in the lineup every day, but he does have talent. The Red Sox have this young chemistry going on with them, and they're winning games. And I'm from Boston area, and it's pretty exciting. And I just don't have the same passion as I did when 2004, when they hadn't won the World Series since, 1918. But that is over. As far as anybody else, I don't see anybody that jumps out at me. And again, I could miss a name. Like I said, just multitasking. So as on the pitching side, all right. So the Kyle Harrison got scratched today at AAA, which means that most likely he's going to start. They got Fitz listed here for RotoWire, but they scratched him. If they scratch him at AAA, he didn't get hurt. I think he gets called up. I think he gave up 3 runs in his last game. Wasn't last impressive. Hit 2 shutout innings the game before. But if he lines up to start on Monday, that lines up for double starts, a second against Pittsburgh. Baltimore, maybe not ideal, but he is a guy that has major league experience. He can strike out batters. The walks are still kind of a problem, but I think that he should be picked up in leagues. I do have him in all my leagues. Is he going to help me? I have no idea, but I'm kind of thinking. Let me see. So Harrison, he's still out there in 70% of leagues. I mean, most likely people are going to think, not going to bid maybe $15 max, but and they're going to, I can't dismiss the Richard Fitz guy is a pickup too. I know that he was in the minors and he pitched better, and I know that May is going to be at the end of his run too. So Fitz, they're going to need to have somebody else. Let me just look at Fitz's numbers, and I'll bring up Harrison's just to show what he did recently. But Fitz is in the minors. He pitched 3 starts in August. He 15 innings, gave up 5 runs, so he had 3 ERA. He had 16 strikeouts. But overall, I think he's in pretty good arm. He's kind of got low mileage on him because of he's had some injuries. But overall, he's been he's not like a great numbers with Boston, but I think he's capable. But like I said, May is creeping up there. May's pitched between the Dodgers and the Red Sox. I know he's pitched better in the last 2 games for Boston, but he's at a level where he's pitched 119 innings, and I don't know how much they're going to kind of push him. I think he's a free agent at the end of this year, so that's really doesn't traded 1 year deal. I think he's a free agent, but so we'll see if they can lock him up. But let's look at Harrison here. Just to show what he did. Like I said, he was supposed to pitch today, and I read that on somewhere before I came down here. Kyle Harrison, where are you? Here you are. He's candidate to start. Let's see. All right, so yes, on the 19th, he gave up 3 runs, 8 base runners over 5 innings. Only walked 1. That was progressing. He had 2 strikeouts, but the 2 previous games he had 10 innings, no runs, 7 walks, 3 hits, 15 strikeouts. So that's what you're hoping for, is that kind of range. I don't know if the Boston will stretch him much more than 5 innings, maybe 6, but we'll see. I mean, he's a guy that has a lot of talent, a lot of upside. Will he pitch well in the majors when he gets called up? I have no idea, but I have put my stake in the ground rostering him on these leagues. So nothing much of Arizona. I mean, I think everybody. Estes is a guy 23 years old for the A's. Not really much. Yeah, not really much there. So nothing really there with the Athletics. I think the looks like Sale might be back this week, but the Braves are just trying to. I'm telling you, I know if you have Strider, he lines up for double starts this week. He's a guy that I would just. I mean, he's worth a bench. I mean, last 3 games he just kills fantasy teams. Last 3 games, 11 innings. What did he give up? 33 base runners, 7 home runs. I mean, there's something wrong with him. Like he's a bench. I don't care if he's got double starts and he's got a name. I mean, there is no way he's figuring it out in his next game. I don't think there's any chance that he's helping. And I'd have to look at his velocity or something, but all of it lines up. There's something wrong with him. There's like, and then the guy in Dodgers just I mean, the Braves should just shut him down. Like, you're out of it. It's over. They're just picking up these guys that just bridge their way to the finish line to give them some innings. Contreras, former Pittsburgh Pirate, thought he had a little bit of talent, went to the Angels, didn't do much. What's he doing in the minors this year? I don't even know if he hasn't pitched in a game, so he can't be picked up. But this year he's 3.73 in the minors, 91 innings, less hits and innings pitched, few too many walks. Let's see if I dragged this down a little too far, but he's only been pitching in. Oh, sorry, that's the majors. What is this? Why is it showing that? I'm sorry about that. I am getting major league stats for 2004 when this is 2005, which is a flaw in this site. So it was over his last. Let's go back here. Let's just go what it's showing. So his last 50 He's got 3.18 ERA, 1.27 over his last 56.2 innings, 38 strikeouts, 18 walks. Yeah, but I don't think he's available in this any format until next week, and he would be $1 to me if he was there, unless he get called up. Contreras, Bradish is going to get called up. He's not in the player pool either. He looked a little better in his last couple starts. Looks like Tyler Wells down the road there for for somebody speculating out here. The Cubs, nothing much. Martinez pitched pretty good recently. Lodolo is going to be back, so somebody's going to get bounced out of rotation for Cincinnati. So Mazik. Let's see what he. I don't know if I looked him up last week. So yeah. So he got called up this week. He pitched pretty good. He gave up 1 run over 6.2 thirds innings, 1 walk, 8 base runner, 1 walk, 7 hits, and 6 strikeouts. He showed strikeout ability in the minors, a little bit too many walks, well over, close to 4 walks per 9 innings. Does have some talent. Did better. Had better command the year before in the minors. Basically about 3.0 on the walk rate. And I say walk rate because 3.0 rather than percentage because that's what I want to do. But he should be picked up. It costs a few dollars there. Colorado, we skipping Colorado on the White Sox. I don't like them. Sorry if nothing much over Detroit. Hunter Brown, Jason Alexander continue to pitch well. Javier showed his true colors. McCullers got picked up in a few leagues, but he just doesn't look right. I've had him a couple times. It was a big mistake roster him this year. Could have had Abbott on all my teams and got Abbott earlier and helpful. Would have been an impact player. And I do have Abbott on some teams, but I didn't get him on all the teams, and I should have because I was onto him before the season started. Not much over there in the Angels. I don't think there's anybody viable. Dodgers, nothing. Miami, same pitchers. Alcantara stunk for a little bit and he came back. Patrick got called up for I don't know if he's going to get that second start. He most likely will for Milwaukee. He gave up 5 runs over 5 innings and gave up a home run and 7 base runners. But he kind of hung in there at the beginning of the year, but I don't think that he was trending in the wrong direction. His last 2 starts in the minors were pretty bad. He had given up 10 runs, 6 home runs. That's kind of a red flag. He had 6 walks. Almost like the other Hunter, what's the other Brewer pitcher? Let me just, I'm losing my mind remembering players. Let's see. The other pitcher that ended up getting hurt for Milwaukee in the minors. Let's see. Yeah, Logan Henderson. So same thing, like Logan Henderson had an injury. I think he might have something going on with him. I'm not going to run to the bank to get Patrick, and I'm not a guarantee. So Bell got called up. He had pitched pretty well. He got racked. Bradley got called up today. He gave up, I think, 7 runs. I got him on my roster. I think he had 7 runs by the second inning, and he had given up 4 singles in the first. I don't know how far he went. I think they're going to give him a run here, facing San Diego next week. Probably people can get him for $1. Looks like Woods Richardson could be the following week, but they have to put somebody out there. Facing San Diego might be all right at home. Bell and him, but they're not going to cost a lot of money because both pitchers have struggled in the majors. Bradley had more success with Tampa Bay, but he struggled in the last couple games in the minors, and he struggled again in that. Like I said today, thank God I don't have him in my lineup because that would be a crusher. You're trying to make up ground. The thing is, like, you're putting in like Bradley in your lineup. You're hoping the guy gives you strikeouts and a potential for a win. But if he's not going to give you, at least strikeouts, is kind of not worth the risk. The Veto guy, Johan Video for Pittsburgh. He got called up earlier, beginning of August. Could have got picked up, pitched an inning, got knocked out kind of early through 43 pitches. Gave up 2 runs, 2 hits, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts. Kind of not what he did in the minors. He had looked pretty sharp, and then he went back and he pitched pretty well. He was coming off an injury. Let's just go over his last 6 appearances. Sorry, but 17 hits, over 24.2 2/3 innings, 5 walks, 33 strikeouts. ERA was 2.5, just over 2.5, 0.89 WHIP. gave up 3 home runs, a little under 1.9. But I think he pitched pretty good in his last game. Five hits, 5 innings, 2 hits, 1 run, 1 home run, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts. He is a player of interest for me. He's going to be probably relatively short money, not have name. He has that other crooked number on his resume, so his stats aren't going to look as clean. But he is a player that I would be interested in this week. He looks like he could have doubles at St. Louis. It's probably okay, not great, but then he faces Boston, so that will scare some people away. But if you're chasing wins and strikeouts, you got to take a beating. The strikeouts look like they would be more relevant in this situation. Looks like King will be back maybe at the end of the week. I thought he had a setback. Bryce Miller came back. I still think he's got something going on. I don't have him. Looks like San Francisco, I don't know what they're going to do. I think Birdsong is the guy that I think that's viable. They have somebody McDonald listed here later in the week. Let's see. Yeah, he's not. He's got a 5 ERA in AAA, 123 strikeouts. He's just not really. They're going to call it Birdsong. I picked up Birdsong last week because I thought that they had risk in a couple of spots, but he walked 5 guys in the last outing. But he looked like he was he looked like he was trending better in the 2 games before. Not a lot of innings, but he had pitched 4 innings, gave up 2. Let's see, where are we? Yeah, so he pitched 4 innings, gave up 2 runs. 4 innings, gave up 2 runs. He gave up a home run in each. 10 strikeouts over 8 innings was okay, and he had 11 base runners. A little 1 too high. But last game he gave up 3 runs. He walked 5 guys. It was kind of a problem. But he's when you look at what he's done at AAA, it's even that other guy that's getting called up. Like Birdsong has more talent. But I don't know. So I think he gets a chance. He's a young guy. He's flashed earlier in the year. He gives up less hits and innings, but he's just giving up too many home runs and too many walks. But can he fix it after struggling? I don't know. But he can potentially help in strikeouts if you're looking for that. Liberatore, if you have him on your team, I don't know if he pitched today. He looked better on Monday, but he's a guy that I think is done. Ian Seymour is going to draw a potentially double starts this week for Tampa Bay. I know Hauser's trying to struggle, and so I wonder. They sent Boyle down. So he is a player that it's interesting because he has a pretty good AAA resume, but he pitched the other day and he gave up 6 runs in a game. So he gave up 6 runs. So 3 innings, 6 hits, 6 runs, 3 homers, and that's just enough to keep everybody off of him. Even with that number, he had pitched in relief, 3.86 innings. 23.1 innings. He had 26 strikeouts, but 3.86 ERA, 1.16 WHIP. That's for the majors. Since that, they look like they stretched him out the last 2 games. He threw 67 and 62 pitches. Looks like they were trying to build him back up. But over the last 2 seasons at AAA, he went 13-4, 2.51 ERA, 1.14 WHIP, 140 strikeouts, 140 innings pitched, 167 strikeouts. But he's the player that you want to be I think you want to go after. I think that he has talent. He's a lefty, soft tosser, isn't going to blow you away. But I think that the opportunity should be there with Boyle getting knocked out of there, and we'll see what happens. He faces Cleveland, and then he's at Washington, so it's not really that bad. DeGrom might get scratched, got a shoulder issue. I don't know who they would fill in there. As far as Lawler, looks like he's got 1 more start he's lined up, but he's kind of out of there. So Bieber's the big play of the week. Like what are you waiting for? Kind of shove. But that's overall. I think pretty much all the pitching there. So there's a couple of interesting pitchers. There's some bullpen arms that look interesting this week. Not big name guys, but guys for a couple of dollars. And I think that's about it for this week. And now I can go look at the scores, and I'm hoping that some of my teams do a little bit better, and just have if you could just have that 8 home run, 24 RBI. And I had that one time on a team. I had twice over the last 5 weeks. I had those type of days, and it might have been a streak when Tulowitzki had like 14 home runs over like 16, 17 games, like end of August and beginning in September. I was drafting for football, and I just kept moving in the overall standings. I think I might have came in like 5th that year, but if you can get 2 or 3 of those guys hot, it's pretty special. But a lot of underachievers, and we'll see what happens. But good luck this week, and I'll talk to you soon.